What is going on, everyone? Big Sixers game tonight against Charlotte, and Joel Embiid will be resting. We actually knew this after the last game against Milwaukee. I'm totally okay with it. Understanding back-to-back, understanding that he realistically isn't going to play every single game down the stretch, even though that third seed is very important to us. I'm totally understanding why this is the move. We have Boston. We all agree the Boston game is literally going to feel like the most important game in the world. I know that wins are very crucial now, and we want to keep our spot. But without Joel Embiid, we should be able to handle business in Charlotte. We absolutely should, and this gives us a better opportunity to get the win against Boston. There are some fans that are pissed off saying that Joel Embiid deserves to play. He shouldn't be taken off. He should be past that in his career, back-to-back. So he's seriously to that extent again where he can't play back-to-backs. No, but he needs to preserve his body. He clearly is, a guy who loves to jump around and dive for loose balls and play recklessly, and he uses 190% of his energy every time he goes out there and plays, which is great. But for a big man who runs that much of the floor, that's just reality in today's game of the NBA. Players go on rest, and Joel Embiid is going to rest tonight. I am okay with it for him to go up against Boston. Now, if it was, hey, I'm going to play against Charlotte and sit against Boston, okay, now we have a problem. But let's be real. We all knew that wasn't going to be a thing. Everyone knows how crucial this game against Boston is. But we cannot overlook tonight just because Boston is on Wednesday. We cannot overlook them. Every win, every W that goes into that standings, it means a lot. It means a lot right now with Boston falling to Denver last night, with the Pacers losing games. This is what we need to take advantage of. These games here, we cannot overlook them even though we know how big Wednesday is. So I want to talk about something that kind of cracks me up a little bit with this fan base. And clearly I'm an emotional guy, and my job is to come downstairs after a game, 5 seconds after a game, and just pour out my emotions, right? Most people who talk about the game, they sleep on it, they wake up the next day, they have some time to kind of address the situation. I'm an emotional right after the game, 5 seconds after, let's spill my heart out. But one thing that is truly funny to me is we win against Milwaukee. We win on the road. We get a really nice win. Brett Brown does some great things. He puts Joel on Giannis, and he switches things around. He did a good job. Yet, this fan base, it's just one game. Just one game. And that's fair. That's fair. And I'm not disagreeing with you. It is just one game. It is just one regular season game. But if we were to lose that game, if we were to fall in that game, we can't beat anyone. What are we going to do in the playoffs? This team stinks. Why is Brett Brown doing this? But it's only one game. So it's like we can't handle the wins. We always have this negative mindset about it. There are things to take away from that win against Milwaukee. Are we thrilled with Embiid taking 13 threes? No. No. Brogdon was out. Milwaukee was missing their shots. They normally don't miss that many shots. Of course, there were things that played a factor. We were in the lead the whole game. We had control of that game the whole way. The whole way. And it's so funny to me thinking on what the noise would be about if we were to fall. Terrible. We can't do anything. We can't do this in playoffs. We can't do that. We're not a good team. But we we get a good win on the road. A team that only lost 5 games at home at that point, and it's just one game. And why did this happen? Why does that happen? I can't believe Joel did this. I can't believe Joel did that. We just can't take it as a positive. That was a great win. This team played great. I know Ben Simmons wasn't dominant, lethal, taking over, and he only had 8, 9, and 9. He only had 1 putback dunk late in the game. He had the ball out of his hands. How can he be such a premier talent and not have the ball in his hands in the last minutes of the game? How about we say we played great and won the basketball game? Every game's going to be different. Every game's going to have its spin to it. It's going to have its flow to it. Different things are going to occur. Not every game's going to be perfect and exactly the same. We had a good win. And I'm not knocking that it's 1 of 82 because it is, and I get that. But I just know how it would have went to the extreme. And with all that being said, we're going to tie that back into Wednesday and say, that game has a lot of emotion on it. But that's a different type of feel because they are our kryptonite. This team needs to get over that hurdle. And that was a minor hurdle that they got over with Milwaukee. To win on the road, to beat a good team like that. That was a mini hurdle. The biggest one of them all is the Boston Celtics. And it is just 1 of 82 in that scenario as well. But there's just a different emotional tie to that due to last year's playoff, due to the 3 games so far this year. So, it's just funny to me thinking about how it'll play out with the fan base in regards to when we win a good game compared to if we lost a good game. The sky is falling with the loss, and with the win, it's nothing really to the extreme. See, I'm different. I took a lot out of that win, but we still need to seal the deal against Boston. And here I am, not talking about a Charlotte game and skipping over that Charlotte game, and that's something that this team can't do. It's very important. The Sixers are actually in a really good position. I think they're playing their best basketball. You're starting to see great rotations. You're starting to see great management down the stretch, great concepts. I see less dribble handoffs, more pick and rolls, more Jimmy Butler with the ball in his hands. And there's been a report out now saying, Jimmy Butler has been preserving himself for the playoffs. That's why he hasn't had that mentality. He's been saving his body and his energy towards the postseason at his age. And look, whether that's true or not, I've seen him over the last couple games now take that extra step to what we expect him to be. We've seen that fourth quarter Jimmy. Now, people keep criticizing his defense and saying, well, it's not the elite defense that we expected. And I can say that, yeah, it's not the elite defender that we've seen out of Jimmy Butler in the past, but he still brings so much value. He still gets big steals. He still, gets that mentality defensively too at times, especially later in that fourth quarter where just his overall game takes a big step. But I like what we got so far with this team. We have a big game tonight. I am looking forward to it. We need to see, how we're going to work without Joel Embiid. I would assume whether he, runs Boban to start. He likes to throw Mike Scott at the 5 sometimes, even though we just had a nice drink of, I believe it was Jack straight out of the cup he put on his Instagram story from last game. Hopefully, the team doesn't suspend him for using alcohol during a game, that is. That was a joke. But yeah, I'm curious to see Boban, Mike Scott at the 5, or is he going to throw Jonah in there? It seems like we have been pretty solidified on that bench with TJ, Mike Scott, James Ennis, and Boban. Bolden hasn't gotten any minutes, but with Joel Embiid out, I'm sure maybe he'll step in and he would be the next guy to get a legitimate shot at this point. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see this team play. I want to see Ben take over. I want to see this offense flow. I know Joel Embiid changes everything. We've seen that. Have we not? Have we not seen that over the last stretch where he was injured? Joel Embiid absolutely changes everything. So I hope this team has the right mentality going into this thing. Keep building. They're playing hot basketball. The hottest basketball I've seen them play so far. So that's very awesome to see. Finish it. Finish the job tonight. Don't overlook the opponent. Don't say they stink. Don't think about the Boston Celtics. It's about the right mentality, getting some good flow, using the rotation well. Try some things with, what you would want to do, say, with Jimmy Butler and stuff like that. Although I've seen it. I feel like he's already experimented with it, and it's kind of solidified, so I don't know how much more toying you can do with and how much playing around you can do with. It seems like what we have established here over the last couple games, which, keep in mind, led to a nice win streak, it seems like Brett has found what he wanted to do with this team, and it's definitely great. So, after the game tonight, of course, I will be on here, hopefully with some fist pumps and some dancing, and then we have a big one on Wednesday. But let's get this W tonight. Let me know your thoughts down below on everything I talked about over the win against Milwaukee compared to if we lost against Milwaukee, the fan base and their reaction to it. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on resting Joel Embiid? Are you a fan of it? Do you think it's ridiculous and he should play every game throughout this stretch because we're fighting for that 3rd seed and it's the mojo going into the playoffs? Or do you understand it and say, listen, I'd rather him be ready for Boston, because that's how I feel. Let me know your thoughts. Go Sixers. Let's get that W tonight. Can't stress it enough. It is important. It is important even though it's just Charlotte. Very, very, very important. Thank you for watching. See you next time.